You trained for the career. Now build the business. This is the Muse Spring Minute, where aspiring tax professionals learn to launch and scale their own practice. Here's your host, Jason Carr.
Once you have clients, your biggest challenge is no longer learning tax terms. Your biggest challenge is workflow. A tax practice can get messy fast. One client sends documents by email. Another sends photos by text. Another drops off a folder. Another uploads half the documents, disappears for 2 weeks, then wants the return finished by Friday. If you do not create a repeatable process, your clients will create one for you, and their process will not protect your time. Today, I want to walk through a simple tax season workflow for new preparers. This is not meant to be complicated. In fact, that's the point. A good workflow should tell you where every client is, what you're waiting on, what comes next, and what cannot move forward until a specific item is complete. Think of your tax season workflow as a client journey. The client starts as an inquiry. Then you determine whether the client is a good fit. Then you get the engagement letter and payment arrangement in place. Then you collect documents. Then you prepare the return. Then you review the return and ask client questions. Then you get signatures, file, deliver the completed return, and close the file. Most new preparers struggle because they jump straight from inquiry to preparation. A client says, "Can you do my taxes?" The preparer says, "Send me your stuff." That feels sufficient in the moment, but it creates problems later. You don't know whether the client is a good fit. You don't know whether the return is within your scope. You don't know whether the client will pay. You don't know whether the client understands your process. You may not even know whether the client has all required documents. A better workflow starts with a fit check. That fit check can be a short intake form, a 10-minute call, or both. You're trying to identify the basic facts before the client enters your preparation process. What kinds of income does the client have? W-2 wages, 1099 income, business income, rental property, investment activity, cryptocurrency, multi-state issues, foreign accounts, priority year problems, IRS notices. You're not preparing the return at this stage. You're simply sorting the matter. Is this a clean return you can handle? Is this a return you can handle if the client provides good records? Is this outside your current skill level? Does this client need a different professional? That one step can prevent a lot of pain. After the fit check comes engagement. Before the client starts sending documents, the client should understand the scope, the fee structure, the timeline, the client's responsibilities, and the communication rules. That means an engagement letter. Every client, every year. The engagement letter should explain what you're doing, what you're not doing, what information the client must provide, when payment is due, and what happens if the client gives incomplete or inaccurate information. It should also explain that the return is prepared based on information the client provides. That's not only legal protection, it's workflow protection. The client needs to know that the process depends on complete and accurate information from them. Then comes document collection. This is where many new practices lose control. The best rule is simple. Use one intake channel. One portal, one upload link, one secure system, one standard process. If you accept a W-2 by text, a 1099 by email, a driver's license by Facebook Messenger, and receipts in a shoebox, you're creating administrative work that will slow you down when the season gets busy. You can be flexible with clients, but flexibility has a cost. If you bend your process for everyone, you don't have a process. Your workflow should tell clients exactly what to do. Complete the organizer, upload all tax documents, answer the business income and expense questions if you had self-employment income. Tell us when everything is uploaded. That last step matters. You need a clear handoff from client is uploading documents to file is ready for preparation. Otherwise, you'll keep checking incomplete folders and wasting attention on files that cannot move forward. Use a status system. It can be a tax practice software, a spreadsheet, a project management tool, or a whiteboard if you're very small. The tool matters less than the discipline. Your statuses might be new inquiry, awaiting engagement letter, awaiting payment, awaiting documents, ready for preparation, in preparation, questions sent to client, ready for review, awaiting signature, e-filed, delivered, and closed. Every client should be in one status at a time. If you cannot tell where your client stands in 15 seconds, your workflow is too loose. Now let's talk about preparation. When you sit down to prepare a return, do not start typing numbers immediately. First, scan the file. Look at the intake form. Look at the prior year return if available. Look at the uploaded documents. Identify what is missing before you begin. This saves time because missing documents can change the return. If the prior year return had a W-2 from an employer and this year there's no W-2 from that employer, ask why. If the prior year return had mortgage interest and this year has no Form 1098, ask why. If the client had a Schedule C last year and says there was no business income this year, ask whether the business closed, paused, or changed. Preparation is not data entry. It's pattern recognition. After preparation comes review. Even if you're solo, build a review step. That may mean reviewing your own return the next day with fresh eyes. It may mean using software diagnostics. It may mean following a checklist. Ideally, it's more than one of those. Your review should cover the basics that are easy to miss when you're tired. Things like names, social security numbers, filing status, dependents, W-2 withholding, 1099 income, business income and expenses, credits, bank information, state returns, estimated payment needs, and open client questions. Do not rely on memory during tax season. Use checklists because fatigue is real. When you need client answers, send the questions in one organized message whenever possible. Do not send 5 separate emails if one clear message will do it. You might say, I have 3 questions before I finalize your return. Then number the questions. Give the client a deadline. Explain that the return cannot move forward until all questions are answered. That protects the client experience and your workflow. Once the return is final, move to signature and filing. Clients should know exactly what needs to happen before filing. They need to review the return, sign the e-file authorization, pay any remaining invoice, and confirm bank information if a refund or payment draft is involved. After filing, deliver the final copy and close the file. Closing the file matters. A closed file should have the filed return, signed authorization, client documents, invoice status, notes for next year, and any planning opportunities you identified. That last category is where growth begins. If you notice the client needs estimated taxes, bookkeeping cleanup, entity discussion, payroll help, or tax planning, capture that before the file disappears into the archive. Tax season is not only a filing season, it's also a discovery season. It shows you which clients may need year-round help. MuseSpring teaches this because a tax practice is built on more than tax knowledge. It's built on repeatable systems. The Tax Business Blueprint program is designed to help new preparers move from, I know how to prepare a return, to, I know how to operate a professional tax practice. Those are different skills. If you're heading into a tax season, build your workflow before the rush. Write down the stages. Create your statuses. Use one document collection process. Use a checklist. Send organized client questions. Close every file properly. A simple workflow followed consistently beats a complicated workflow you abandon by February 10th. I'm Jason Carr. Thanks for listening to the MuseSpring Minute.
Thanks for listening to the MuseSpring Minute. Subscribe and leave a review so other future tax pros can find the show. The MuseSpring Minute is produced by MuseSpring LLC for educational and informational purposes only and does not constitute legal or tax advice. For guidance specific to your situation, consult a qualified professional. MuseSpring LLC is not a law firm.